Hey everyone, this is Michael from FitFrontliners.com. Welcome back. I've got another video for you. I hope it's helpful to you. Today I'm going to be replacing the shock cord on my Concept 2 Model C rower. Last time I did quite a few other maintenance, replaced the chain, replaced the monitor sensor. If you need to get those items replaced on your rower, be sure to check out that video as well. But one thing I noticed while I was replacing those items was that my shock cord was getting pretty worn, and so I went to Concept 2's website. I ordered a new shock cord that we're going to be replacing. I've got it right here. And then it also came with a schematic that's going to be pretty helpful for you when you order this offline. In fact, in the guide here, it also shows in this picture right here how exactly the shock cord goes in your machine, which is super helpful. I've got a couple tools that I need for this job. First thing I need is a 532 Allen wrench. Fits right here on the front of the rower. And then I've got two 7/16 wrenches here, which will be helpful as well while I replace this item. If you don't mind, check out my blog, FitFrontliners.com. I've got lots of articles there on nutrition, exercise, as well as discussing home gyms. Check it out, and maybe it'll be something that you'll find interesting. So before we get into actually replacing the shock cord, one of the first things that we need to do is take apart the rower. It's really easy to do. Like I said earlier, this is a Model C rower, so maybe if you have a different model of the Concept 2 rower, your rower may come apart slightly differently, but super easy. I'm going to reach under this rower. I'm going to pull the seat back, and in the Model C, there's a little wheel underneath. So super easy. I just sort of unlock it, twist it, and then when I do that, what I'll do is I'm going to sort of lift, and this back piece comes apart. So I'm just going to lean it up, set it aside, and put it out of the way, as we're not going to need that while we replace the shock cord. We're just going to need the front part of the rower. So then what I'll do is I'll flip over the rower, and that way we can get to the shock cord. Alright, so I've got the Concept 2 mower taken apart. I've got it flipped over here. When I flipped it over, I just sort of folded my monitor back, and that way I'm not slamming the rower on top of the monitor. And now that I've got this flipped over, when you look down inside the rower here, you should be able to see the shock cord. And so there's a little clip right at the end that looks like this. First thing you're going to want to do is take this apart. This is where the shock cord connects down here by the end of the chain, and this is going to be the first thing, and it's really down by where you put your feet, and this is going to be the first thing that we're going to disconnect. So the next thing I'm going to do, I've got this piece of the shock cord just sort of flapping here, is right at the end of the rower there is a screw that your Allen wrench will fit right into. And so I take my Allen wrench and I put it in this screw and I lefty-loosey it. And what will happen is it'll come apart. Which will then allow us to get to that end. All right, once you get the screw out from the end of this, move the video to show a better view of this. This cap just comes right off. And then you can actually see the shock cord right at the end here. And then you also find this piece, and then your nut, and then of course your screw that went through this piece. And this allows you to get to the shock cord. And so once you have that off and have this exposed, and you can just sort of see my shock cord is super worn, what you'll need to do is then go back to those clips that we used at the beginning. The clips right here, there's two of them. We removed the first, and the other one was on the other side that we just popped right off. And then you'll just want to take these, the actual shock cord out of the clip just like that, and then do the same on the other side, to where the shock cord is free of these clips. And I'm just going to set the clips aside because we're going to use these same clips because they're actually in really good condition for the new shock cord when we replace it. So we've got the clips taken off. So the next thing that we need to do is we can, at that point, just sort of pull and unwind the shock cord from its post. All right, so I got the old cord out. If you shouldn't have any trouble with that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you just look and see how it's going around, and you should be able to pull. If it's getting stuck somewhere, just look and see. And then really, when you find this spot right here, it's just a matter of working it in and out of these holes. Pay attention to how it goes in and out of those, as that's how the white cord's a new one. That's how you'll be putting this one in. And so what I did is I took the two screws here, have them lined up looking at me, and then I take the new cord and go from the bottom and go up, and I just sort of push until I can grab. They have tape on the end of these new ones to make it easier to go through, and with it being a new cord, it's not worn, there's nothing to catch, it goes through pretty easy. And then I just pull, just sort of push and pull and get some slack here. And what I eventually want to do is make it where I have half the cord even through both holes to make it easier when I go to the next steps. So as I keep doing that, I should be getting pretty close. I'll go through a little bit more here. And then I'll take this end and go through this hole at the top. So it took some maneuvering, but finally I was able to get this top piece through that hole. It just took some maneuvering to get the right angle. Then I sort of also used the Allen wrench a little bit just to sort of poke underneath it just to get it to the right angle. It came through, and so then I took the shock cord and I pulled it to where it was even on both sides. So now the next thing that we have to do is just thread it through the mechanisms. So where the shock cord connects here to the front of the chain, what you'll notice is there's two spindles right beside that. And so what you'll do is you'll look on the guide here, and you'll just look at the shock cord routing, and you'll see that each of these two cords go through that wheel and then go back through the back part where those wheels are, and then come back through. Like I said, you just have to look on the routing to see exactly how that goes. And then once it gets back to the front, that's when you put these hooks back on. So don't put them on until you route it through. All right, so after you get the old cord out and then route the new one exactly like the schematic shows. So basically, to walk through that with you, on the left side, my left side, looking toward the wheel here, that shock cord portion will go, it'll be pulling out the chain. It'll be the top part, and it'll go over the top and then go under all the way to the back here, to the spindle in the back, go over the top of that spindle, and then come all the way back. And that's when you'll get, if you remember, we at the very beginning took off the pieces that snap on, and that's what you'll do is once you get it routed through, you'll take this piece right here, and then you'll take your new shock cord and route it back through, and then just pop it, stretch it out as far as you need to, and then you'll just pop it on the metal piece at the end. Now on the side closest to me, that's my right side, that piece comes out of the spindle that's connected to the chain and then goes underneath and then over the top all the way across the back, and then once it hits that back right spindle, it goes all the way under, all the way back to that original spindle, and then you put that bracket on there and snap it into place just like you do the other side. So once you get all of that done, we've got the pull cord put on, and so now the next step is just putting our machine back together. And so if you remember right, we didn't really have to take too much apart in order to get the machine back together, but the one thing we did have to take apart is this cap at the back. And so what we'll do is find those pieces. The biggest thing is if you have this metal piece, you'll notice there's a curve here, and so you'll want to reach through and sort of pop that back on the rod that's there. And then what you'll do is just sort of hold this in place, and then pop the cap back on exactly the way it was. And as you get that cap popped back on, you'll put the screw through, and this is where it gets a little more tedious. As you get that screw through, and I'll screw it a couple times just to sort of get it in there. And that's when you have to line it up with that metal piece. So this is where it just takes a little bit of annoying hand-eye coordination, just looking through. You might look through the hole, get it lined up exactly, and then once you get it lined up, just screw till you get it in that metal bracket piece, which mine clicked through, which is great. And then there's a little bolt nut, whatever you want to call this, that goes on the back of your screw to keep everything nice and tight. And that's what the 7/16 wrench is for. I'll be honest with you, it's really difficult to get your hands in there, but basically you'll get in there and then hold it with this while you use your Allen wrench to tighten, and then that should get it nice and tight. And then you have that pit part done, and there's only one other part to put the machine back together, and that's just put the back piece on and then flip the machine back over to where it normally is. So last step is to put our rower back together, and then we'll be done replacing the shock cord. So what you want to do is take this back piece that's right in front of me and line it up with the grooves and the metal poles, or the metal rods that are at the front of your rower. And then there's also the wheel at the bottom. And so just make sure the wheel's sort of out of the way. We'll lock that part later. And then you sort of slide those grooves together, just like that. And it fits over those. And then you take the wheel from underneath and just twist it around till it's locked. And it's together. And now at this point, I'll take my monitor and I'll put it back to where it was. And in the process, my handle just happened to slid off of this, so I'll put that back. And at that point, I have a new rower with a new shock cord and a great maintained rower. Like I said earlier, my name is Michael. I'm from fitfrontliners.com. Check us out. I hope this helped you with maintenance on your rower, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.